one thing which I always used to pride about my institution is that of the 10,000 odd employees whom we have on scroll, because all of them have been dedicated and all of them have been continuous in this organization, and they retire from this organization after attaining a superannuation. So if you look this organization, you don't see a staff leaving in between for some reasons. Majority of the staff has been continuing, and they continue with a full dedication as well as a belongingness to the institution. What I always feel when it comes to the human relations, and especially when it comes to the staff management as well as the staff engagement, rather than management, it is an engagement, which always I used to say, is the way in which the top management used to interact, transmit the ideas towards the people at the ground level who interact with the customers, and that enlightenment of the ideas, which brings in a value addition to the people at the ground, and then they have that in place when they serve to the customers.
The Sound of Money with Santosh Sirur.
And well, now joining me on this very special broadcast of this podcast, The Sound of Money on the Karnataka Bank Limited, which is all about in its centenary year. I have two very special guests joining me from Bangalore. I have with me Mr. Pankaj Gupta. So Pankaj is the Chief Digital and the Marketing Officer. And we're going to talk to him a lot more about it, because it is 28 plus years of experience, and that too, not just banking, but he's also worked with companies like Wipro and Sifi, and he brings amazing experience and immense amount of talent and contribution to the banking industry. We'll talk about that. But I also have another very special guest with him joining, Mr. Vinaya Bhat. Mr. Bhat is the General Manager for Credit Marketing. The beauty of Mr. Bhat is he's been with the bank for 30 plus years, and not just in credit, but in fact, this is his recent role, but he's been right from starting with branch banking to HR to various bank roles that he's been. In fact, he is a bank in himself, and that too with Karnataka Bank, because that brings so much of treasure and knowledge experience that Vinay actually brings to the table. So let's talk to these two individuals who are coming from Karnataka Bank. My first question actually is for Vinay. Vinay, you've been with this bank, you've seen this bank grow, right? Just like your own career. When it comes to people, right, in banks like Karnataka Bank, right, it's people management, the people connect with the client that makes all the difference. And I'm very sure some event, probably when you have kind of programs in your own branch bank where you have a Satyanarayan Puja or a Yugadi festival, it's the customers who come into the bank, right? The whole connect is so beautiful. Share your own experiences working with this bank.
Thank you, sir. I see this bank's origin is a great specialty, because this bank has originated from Dakshina Kannada, and it has been started by 9 gentlemen who were into various activities, basically a tradition-based activities. So the core of the element, or the core element of this organization, was to serve the people and also to have this traditional backgrounds which is being carried on for the years to come. So I have started I am associated with the bank from 1996 onwards. And during this journey for about 30 years in this organization, I have seen that across all the places where we operate, there is not only just a traditional connect with the people, but there is also a relationship which has been created, which is coming out of this traditional, the breed which we have.
Yeah, agree.
So if you look into the tradition of Dakshina Kannada has been a place which has been throughout these past histories. You have seen that lot of temples, lot of church which is being built in, lot of mosques, etc., and people living in very much coordination and coordinated environment. Throughout the culture which is there in Dakshina Kannada is typically which adapts and adopts to the changes and also welcomes the new changes which is coming in. So across the system in this bank, we have seen that people, especially the relationship with the customers, has been on a foremost. In all the festivities, irrespective of which caste or which celebrations it is, we have seen that people coming into the bank, people coming in along with the staff of the branches, and then having the celebrations together. So it is a celebration part, keeping apart that the journey which we have seen for this great institution for about 100 years. It is a clear replica of the fact that this organization has been a customer-centric organization. Wherever the new branches have been opened, or wherever the existing branches of about 40, 50, 60 years, which is there in operation, we have seen that the generations, for example, when we had this 100-year celebration at Bangalore, Sri Krishnan, whom you all know, who is the new managing director of the bank, we were able to introduce him to the fifth generation, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 generations of business, which is being run by the people. And the fourth generation, who has been already into the business, who is now running the business, were all the 4 people who have run the business throughout last 50 years, coming on to the particular event and greeting the bank. Amazing. So this is how the bank has created its imprint into the lives of the people, and created, supported businesses, created, supported people, created, supported generations to grow along with the institution. If you look at me also, I joined the bank at a very lowest level. As a clerk, I have joined about 27, 28 years back, and grown through the system. Today, being a general manager heading the business. So it's all specifically tells about the way in which the human relations, the core of relations, is being into the blood of this institution. So business, relationship, and at the end of the day, a mix and match of both has created this wonderful institution today. From the family bank across India, today it has become the Bharat Bank. So that is the transition, that is the transformation, and that is the future of this great institution.
Wonderful. You put the, hit the nail when you say the human connect is so important, right? And in a bank which is in its centenary year, and at the same time, that's when technology is playing a pivotal role in taking the bank to the next 100+ years. And that's where the question for you, Pankaj, you come in from a different background where you have worked with various other banks as a client probably, and then now you are a part of the very bank, right? It's a very different role. But my first question to you actually, Pankaj, is that the role of technology, and in today's world, right, I'm sure your own customers of Karnataka Bank who have access to mobile, now who doesn't have an access to a smartphone, I'm sure that has helped the bank to go on a different level of orbit when it comes to pushing technology and adoption of technology by the customers. What's been your experience?
Okay, so Santosh, firstly, thank you for inviting me to this podcast, and it's been really a privilege, being part of the journey of Karnataka Bank, which is a legacy, as kind of explained by Vinay, legacy on the foundation of customer, on the foundation of creating that change, also wanting to embrace the future. So one thing, like you said, obviously, technology used to be an enabler in past. But today, technology is in the front, leading customer experience, leading operational efficiencies, leading, the outcomes for both customers and the bank. Where else can customers benefit out of a 24/7 banking? And where else, what else can, give the bank the edge in terms of operational efficiencies, in terms of reduction in cost, etc., etc. So it's really a win-win. And I think the question is not, how does technology help? The question is, how does technology create a differentiated position for the bank? And how does it take the bank into the future? And which is where, the earlier management thought that, building on these 5 generations of business, which Vinay was talking about, how do we continue to serve the next 5 generation also? Because society is going through a change, right? And as we change, the bank also has to change. Everybody has to change. Change is the name of the game. and which is where it's a privilege to be with a bank which is now embracing the change, embracing the future.
Absolutely.
So
Can't agree more with you. So Vinay, yes, technology is playing a very pivotal role, and and every customer, I'm sure, is adopting to it, and the bank is making a concerted effort to bring in the best of technology. But at the end of the day, it's the staff that matters, the human touch that matters, right? The connect is very important, because the staff at that counter makes all the difference. What's been your experience, in kind of various staff-led initiatives probably the bank has been driving? Because in its centenary year, it's very important that the bank really brings out, and it's a matter of pride for each and every staff of Karnataka Bank, that they are working in an institution, not just a bank, but an institution which has had its amazing history of those last 100 years, starting off with the Dongarkeri branch. So, what's been your experience with interacting with various staff over the years?
Yeah. So, see, one thing which I always used to pride about my institution is that of the 10,000 odd employees whom we have on scroll, because all of them have been dedicated and all of them have been continuous in this organization, and they retire from this organization after attaining a superannuation. So if you look this organization, you don't see a staff leaving in between for some reasons. Majority of the staff has been continuing, and they continue with a full dedication as well as a belongingness to the institution. What I always feel when it comes to the human relations, and especially when it comes to the staff management as well as the staff engagement, rather than management, it is an engagement, which always I used to say, is the way in which the top management used to interact, transmit the ideas towards the people at the ground level who interact with the customers, and that enlightenment of the ideas which brings in a value addition to the people at the ground, and then they have that in place when they serve to the customers. So this is a throughout a curve which is there, which passes on the information as well as the knowledge in terms of service to the people at the ground. We have seen across all these branches. Today we have 932 branches which is operating on ground, which is being spread across not just Karnataka. We have branches even at Gangtok. We have branches at various places. But one core element which I always used to tell to any customer whom I meet is that you will get the best service and a continuous service, because it's a branch-led model. So there is a continuous service where the people interact with the customer throughout. So if you take this 40-year-old associations which we have, in this 40-year-old association with the customers would have seen not less than somewhere around about 20-25 managers, 20-25 relationship officers who are associated with them. And the moment when they feel that a particular association is not in tune with the previous association, we have seen people move out. But here you have seen that there is a consistency of service, there is a consistency of approach, and there is a uniformity in the way in which we interact with our customers. Any branch, any generations, any time, you can see that service with a smile approach at the ground level. Not only from the manager, from the bottom of the people. And one more thing I always used to say, sir, that any customer today who want to approach the next level, who wanted to have a phone call and call the general manager, the regional head, the executive director, or the managing director, all of them are just a phone call away. So that is one other thing. The
approachability. A lot of transparency and approachability makes a huge difference to the bank.
And once we have this transfer, this approachability, as well as this this straight-through approach, people will increase, or people will have trust. Banking is but trust.
Absolutely. That brings a good point, and the question here actually is for for Pankaj, because Pankaj, you come in from a kind of an industry where you've worked with banks, but they've been your clients, and you've been on like the the consultancy aspect. But one is actually giving gyan to them as a bank, but then coming to the other side, the grass is greener. How greener is the grass on the other side now? Now working with the Karnataka.
Well, it's a very interesting question. and there is a lot of change, in terms of, the work, the culture, the outcomes, the objectives. But on the lighter side, when I was doing one presentation, I had put actually a horse with a fence and the grass on the other side, right? So grass is always greener on the other side. When I came into the bank, I thought, good, more holiday, no pressures, quarter end pressures. But interesting thing is, there's so much to do in a bank. Work never stops. You have to keep pushing the envelope, right? And with the entire transformation which is happening under our managing director Sri Krishnan, as well as Shekhar, who has given coined a word called startup at 100. It really shakes up the entire ethos of being a 100-year-old startup or a 100-year-old young startup. And what it means is that how do we bring complementing capabilities or complementing cultural values to whatever Vinay explained, even in terms of saying how do we really bring excellence, how do we bring innovation. See, banking is regulated. Quite a lot of it is around assurity, is around compliance, is around past experiences, is around a structure which is known. How do we delve into something which is unknown? How do we become agile? Is all what is required in the world of today, which is what is happening. And just to answer your question, I think serving the bank, being in that industry, has given a deep insight to me, had prepared me for what all is required in the bank. Uh, how do you dovetail into the bank? How do you get people along with you? How do you prioritize? There are 20 things to do. How do you prioritize? And the biggest, I think, contribution which I have been able to bring from my working ethos is whatever you do it for a particular outcome, whether it is a customer experience outcome, whether it is a cost arbitrage outcome, whether it is a cross-sell outcome, you do it for an outcome. So that intent of saying it is not only to do a technology, but it is to do that initiative for a particular outcome, is what probably has benefited me and benefited the bank, from where I came into this bank. And I can tell you, I don't want to say was it difficult, was it, but it was very, very interesting. I felt after 27 years of my career, I felt as if I'm restarting my career. It was like learning every day and contributing every day. So it's been a great 4 years. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Gentlemen, many thanks for joining on this very special broadcast of this podcast, which is The Sound of Money. And we're talking about Karnataka Bank, the legacy of this bank, which is about 100 plus years that it's heading into. Many thanks for joining. And I'm sure our listeners get to know what a bank, a brand that can bring to the table. And that too, it's 100 years, which is a huge thing by itself. So thanks once again for joining on in this podcast. So, well, with that, we come to the end of this special podcast, The Sound of Money, from me, Santosh Sirur, Mr. Pankaj Gupta, and Mr. Vinaya Bhat. Thanks again for being with us on The Sound of Money with Santosh. Bye-bye and take care.
Thank you. Good day.
The Sound of Money with Santosh Sirur.